George Pearson, and this is a Photoshop Elements video project. If you enjoy this project, make sure that you subscribe to my channel and also click on that like button as well. If you want to learn a lot more about how to use Photoshop Elements, take a look at my complete training titles available on Amazon and my website, and you'll find the links in the description. In this video, we'll be making this Mother's Day card here. As you can see, pretty basic, simple layout, but there's a lot of stuff going on here. We have a gradient background, a photograph over here that has a layer mask on it, and some adjustment layers. Of course, we have text in here, different sizes, and this interesting kind of a background area in here for our text. Alright, let's see how this whole project is made. I'll start off with a brand new file. Let's just close this one down. And there's the original image we'll be working with. Now I have a link for this in the description, so you can go ahead and download this from my video support page. And on this one, it's a floating window right there. If you don't have floating windows working, just go up to the Edit menu, come down to Preferences and General, and then make sure that Allow Floating Documents in Expert Mode and also Enable Floating Document Window Docking. Those are both checked. There you go. When you have those checked, you can either dock the window just like that, or pull the tab down and make it floating. Okay, let's start off with a new file. File, New, Blank File. And I have mine set at the default Photoshop Elements size, which is 6 inches wide by 4 inches tall by a resolution of 300. Choose OK. And there we go. We'll just dock that for a second. Move over here to the new image. Grab the background layer and drag it onto the docked image. There we go. You can then close that. We're done with that. Now this comes in at a smaller size. That's exactly the size that we need. I'll pull it down to the bottom and go over here to the right hand side. So there's our basic image. Now I have the flowers reversed on this. I want this flower to the left side of this flower, not to the right side. So let's go ahead and flip this layer. Go up to Image, Rotate, and down to Flip Layer Horizontal. Check up under the View menu, come down to Snap To, and make sure that Guides, Grid, and Document Bounds, that those are checked. Layers doesn't matter, but the other ones should be checked. Those are the defaults. And if they are, you'll find that the image snaps right to the middle of the page, right there. See, it just kind of jumps right to the 3-inch. That's the middle, and the bottom snaps to the bottom. That's right about where you want to have the image. We may adjust it a little bit depending upon where the letters come in, but that's about correct. Okay, so there is our basic flower positioning and layer. We now need to come in and make a careful selection around this and hide the background using a layer mask. But before I do that, let's put in our background gradient, get that done so we have some coloring behind this thing to work with. Come down to the background layer, click on the New Layer button. It gives you a new layer underneath the flowers and above the background. We'll fill this layer with a gradient. So let's go over to the gradient tool, which is right here. There we go. Now it's showing the last gradient that I used, which is this light kind of pastel thing. Let me just invert those. You probably have your colors looking like this. Click on the actual gradient icon. This brings us up, and yours will look like that up here. Don't worry about this at this moment. So yours will look like this. There's the default foreground to background color. Go up where it says Preset and click where it says Default and come down and change this to Pastels. And there's our pastel colors right there. What you want is this one. It's the 5th one over. It says Green, Purple, Blue. Click on that. There's your green, purple, blue pastel color and choose OK. Now go from the upper left hand corner and drag down to the bottom right hand corner, and that puts in that gradient. Notice that these colors are very similar to the colors in the photograph. That's why I chose this particular one. Kind of mimics that. We'll be making this much more pastel looking, but the basic colors are very similar to the colors of our flowers. Okay, back to the Move tool. We now need to adjust this gradient so it looks just fine. Go up to Layer, come down to New Adjustment Layer, and choose Levels. Now where it says Use Previous Layer to create clipping mask, check that, choose OK, and here we go. Now if you pull the top controls towards the middle, you're going to increase the contrast. If you do the output levels, if you pull the output levels in, it decreases contrast. We want to increase our contrast a little bit on this one. So I'm going to leave the black at 0, which is fine. Let's take the gray tone here, the mid-tone, and if you pull this to the left, notice how it lightens up the background. Right darkens it down and left lightens it up. So set this at 2.09 and let's lighten the lights up a bit. Pull the white side in, goes even lighter. You can see it right there. It's brighter and lighter. And the number you want here is 187. And then close that out. So that gives us real nice kind of pastel colors, again still matching our color scheme in the flowers. Now it's not quite right, it's too bright still. The colors are too bright. We want to desaturate this a little bit. So again, back up to layer, come down to new adjustment layer, hue saturation. Same thing, make sure you check that checkbox, choose OK. And let's just bring our saturation to the left, which is down a little bit, down to about 33, 32, 33, somewhere around there. You can just type that in. It's a negative number, negative 33. Choose OK. And it just kind of tones it down a little bit. So there it is without, and there it is with. It just kind of knocks it back a touch. We want that real pastel. Okay, that takes care of the background. And the reason I wanted the background at this point is so as we're coming in here and getting rid of these leaves in the flowers, we'll see that background through as we work. Now on the flowers, let's go back to our flower layer. We want to make a layer mask on this layer. Click on the new layer mask button right there. There's our layer mask. It's all white and that's everything showing. When you paint black on the layer mask, look for that light blue outline right there. If you're seeing it over here, just double click on the layer mask, light blue outline. If you paint black on here, it hides part of the picture. Let me demonstrate that. I'll set my colors back to their defaults, put black in front, grab the paintbrush, and I'll bring my size up a bit. That's pretty good, 95. I'm just going to paint on the layer mask with black over here on the left hand side. Notice how as I paint on the layer mask, it actually hides what's on there. It doesn't get rid of it, it doesn't erase it, it's still here, it's just being hidden by the layer mask. That's the basic idea. Now to control this, you want to have a very careful selection in here to do that. You want to be saving some of the leaves, but not everything. We'll keep the middle stuff, and we'll take the leaves up to the top of this flower. We'll keep that piece, we'll get rid of this, and we'll get rid of this. Now the easy way to do this is again to use the layer mask over here and then make careful selections around what we want to keep, and then just paint that out with black and hide that. I'll do just a couple parts of this, and then I'll pause the video and finish the rest. It takes a few minutes to do the whole process. So I'll do a couple here so you can see how it's done. I'll pause the video and then finish that off screen and then come back onto the camera again. Okay, we'll zoom in, go to the zoom tool. I'll zoom in at the bottom. We'll start down here at the very bottom. Go ahead, one more click. Nice and tight on this so you have a lot of easy options here for selecting this. Now I'm going to be using the Polygonal Lasso tool. I tried a few different techniques on this one on my sample project and found this actually works the best, gives you the best results. Click down here where it says New Selection and set your feathering at 1 px, 1 pixel. And I'll start right down here, and we're going to be keeping this. I'll be making my selection along here, and then down right there. That's my first selection right there because we're keeping this and we're keeping that. Okay, so I'll start off down here and then just come around to slowly click on the image. Each time you click, it puts in a point, a control point, and then when you move it, you can move it around anywhere you want to until you find your next spot. Click and just continue doing that, find your next spot and click. You can take this outside of the image like that and go back to the beginning. Notice that little circle that kind of pops up there on the little tool icon. That shows you that you're back at the beginning again. Click on that. There is that selection. We're still on the layer mask. Let's go back to the paintbrush tool. I can bring my size down a lot now because we're zoomed in. Looks like about 26, 25 is pretty good. I'm just going to be painting black onto my layer mask, and I'm showing that pastel background through. Just like that, just kind of painted it. So we're making a custom layer mask. Make sure you get clear around the edges and then totally fill it in the middle. When you're done, just go up to select and then deselect. Okay, there's our first section. See right down there, there is that little bit of black. And it's just a matter of going around and doing this clear around the whole project. Okay, let's take this one up here. I'll take it clear up to the top of this leaf right there. And we'll take out some of this stuff on the left-hand side. Okay, back down to the bottom, back to the Polygonal Lasso tool. Click right down here at the bottom, and then I'll work my way up. When you're using this tool, take your time. Just be slow and careful about it. This will give you the best quality on your mat. You want a real nice high quality mat. Don't rush this or it's going to collapse the selection and you have to start over again. And really, the more careful you are at this stage, the better everything else looks. This actually is the most difficult, time-consuming part of the whole project. So this is when you want to take your time. Now if you get up here and you're up against the top of the picture, hold the space bar down. It gives you a hand to kind of pull the picture down, let go of the space bar, and then you can continue making your selection. And let's go straight up and then around the flower petal here, just staying in just not right against that edge. The 1 pixel feather will give us just a little bit of a softening on the edge, which will help to make it a nice kind of smooth edge without looking too drastic or sharp. Spacebar again, and let's go up, and I'll take this clear up to the top of that, and I'll be doing this in just little pieces like this, just little chunks, chunk at a time. Go to the top, and then I'll come way out here, and spacebar one more time, bring it down, spacebar. Pull it clear down off the screen, back over to the beginning, and click. Okay, let's now fill in this section. Same thing, back to the paintbrush. I am painting black on my layer mask still. And let's go carefully right along this edge. Hold the space bar down and move your picture. There we go. Now up here it doesn't matter about being on the edge. We'll come back to that and fill it in as we go. But just kind of paint this in. I'm just going back and forth with the mouse here. Just like you're spray painting the side of a wall or something. I don't recommend spray painting sides of walls, but you know what I mean. Okay, and then deselect. So it's just a matter of doing this bit by bit until you get the whole process done. Just do it in little chunks, little segments, and it goes fairly quickly. Okay, so we're back to the picture again. So I'll do the rest of this off screen. Okay, I've finished all of that masking work around the flowers. There's still a couple things to take care of. We need to get rid of this stuff up here, kind of left over. Notice I just kind of stayed around the flowers. I ignored the background up there. We'll clean that up right now. And this stuff over here. Now I don't have to have any selection on that. As long as I stay away from my flowers, I'll be fine. We're still going to be on the layer mask. So I'll grab the paintbrush. At this point I can increase the brush size a bit so it's a bit easier to work with. There we go. And again, just be careful that you don't get over next to the flowers or you begin to hide the flowers as well. And just continue painting black onto the layer mask to get rid of all this excess stuff. Just a real fast, easy, just kind of paint it all out. Now I'm using a soft edge brush on this. Doesn't matter out here on the soft edge brush. The soft edge brush helped with that feathering for a nice soft edge on the flowers. And just, again, just be careful, take your time, and make sure you get all the little pieces out of there. Looks pretty good. Get this little bit over here. There we go. Okay, now we have just this little piece right there to fix, where that leaf here is overlapping that leaf. We'll take care of that in 1 second. Let's check our layer mask though. A couple things in the layer mask to finish up still. Notice it's all white outside here. You can get rid of that by actually painting that in as well. I'll go back to the paintbrush, bring my size up to about maybe 200 pixels is pretty good size. And this time I'll be watching over here and make sure I don't go anywhere near my flowers. And as you paint that in, you can check it over there and make sure that it has actually filled in what you want to fill in. It's a little hard to see here since you're basically painting blind and then double checking to make sure that it's filling in where you want it filled in. But once you get the habit of this, get the knack of this, it's actually not that hard to do. Just kind of make sure you're overlapping all your strokes and then going back and double checking on the picture over there. And the reason I'm not using the paint bucket and fill on this is that even though you're on the layer mask side, if you use the paint bucket and try to fill that area with black, what happens is you fill it over here with black on your picture, which is not what you want to do. Okay, that's painted out. Nice and clean. The last little step, and our flowers are just about there. And that's taking a look at this little bit in here. See if we can get rid of that, kind of hide that. Now that's done with the clone stamp tool. Do a little bit of fancy clone stamping. I also need to have some white in there. I can grab it from right down here and copy it up to here, or grab from here to here. Go back to the Polygonal Lasso tool. Now this time we're going to be over on the actual image side. So double click on the image side over here. And since we have the layer mask, I don't have to really worry about the edges as much in here. So we actually can just go ahead and paint because the layer mask will hide those edges for us. So let's just not worry about that. And let's come down to the clone stamp tool. I have mine set, there's the size right there. It's set at 20 pixels, 100%, and it's a soft edge brush as you can see here. And then hold the Alt key down. I'm going to come right down to this part of the flower here. That looks like a pretty good match to the values in there. Hold the Alt key down, click, that sets that spot, and then come up here and begin painting in, just like that. Again, back down here, click with the Alt, and then come in, do a little bit more of that. That looks good. Take a little bit of this right here, Alt key, click, and then just kind of paint back up into that area. Okay, that takes care of that one. Let's now fix this one right down here. Now this time I will need the Polygonal Lasso tool because I want to keep this leaf the same here, and I just want to fix that area right there. So let's grab the Lasso tool right here, and I'll come in and do a little quick selection right along this edge of this leaf here, like that. And then I'll come up along this edge here and right down there, so that my selection, my repair, is only going to happen inside that selected area. Same thing then, clone stamp tool, come down to the middle of the white down here, Alt and click, and then just paint in there, and that's done. Okay, deselect. So the flowers are now done. That's the hardest part of the whole project is now finished. Okay, let's now fit this in the window, fit on screen. There we are. That's all taken care of. Now we need to adjust the values on our flowers. We'll do that with an adjustment layer. Go up here to Layer and New Adjustment Layer and Levels. Again, check the checkbox right there. Choose OK. On this one, we now want to have the black brought up a little bit, increases our dark contrast. So the number you want here is 27. Let's adjust the middle a little bit here. You want it a little bit brighter. That kind of brightens things up. So I'll set this at 1.59. And let's increase the brightness on the right hand side. So as I move that in, the brightness increases. So I'll set that side at 219. So 27, 1.59, and 219. That just brightens up that layer. Here it is without, and there it is with, so they're much brighter, more cheerful flowers. Okay, that's good. Now I also want to have more color in here. We can do that with our saturation. So back up to layer, back to adjustment layer, hue saturation. Make sure that checkbox is checked right there. Choose OK. And then on the saturation, we want more saturation, so this will be moved to the right-hand side, gives you more color, and the number you want is going to be plus 32. Just like that. And there we go. So there it is without, and there it is with. So it just brightens the colors up. Okay, last thing now. Come back to the flower layer. Last thing on this is to put a bit of a glow in behind this, and that's with a layer style. So layer, layer style, style settings. Come down to glow and outer glow, and set the size at 141, and set the opacity all the way to the top at 100. And that's it. Okay, flowers are finished. So we can go ahead now and do the easy part, which is the lettering. So go up to the top layer right there, come down to the type tool, and I'm using a type here called Edwardian Script, ITC regular, and this is easily available online if you don't happen to have it already, but any good script typeface will work out just fine for this, just something with a lot of curly swirly stuff in it, and that will be fine. Now we have two different sizes on the lettering. We have our lead caps, the M on mothers, the H on happy, and the D on day. Do those at a larger size, and then the rest of the letters at a smaller size. I also want to have these at a temporary color. So click on the color here, and I'm using the default colors. I'll scroll down a little bit and just pick there it is, a light magenta right there. Click on that. Notice that came in gray. Let me just fix that real fast here. That's because we're on a layer mask up here. So come back to the layer, and let's just put a new layer in at that point. That'll get rid of that and get that out of our way. So a new layer, and now you're seeing it with the colors. We have this set at a light magenta, which is right there. Actually, at this point, any color will work. This is just a temporary color for us, but we'll be using this light magenta later, so that's why I chose that one. And then we'll do the caps first. And the size you want on the caps is 126. And we'll come over here and we'll do the happy at the top. Click up here someplace, doesn't matter exactly where, and put in a capital H. And we'll pull that one down a little bit. So there's the H for happy. Cap first. Now we'll do the lowercase letters, the rest of the word in here. Go back to the type tool. That's very important that you click onto the move tool and then click on the type tool again. That deselects that, and we can then come in and put in a new set of type. Now if it does this, if you click like this and it looks like it's selecting this type over again, click cancel on that and come out here someplace. Just come further away. Also notice the cursor. If I'm in near the H here, there's just the cursor. If I come out, there's a box around it. You want to see that box around it. That means if you click, it's going to give you a new layer. That's what you want. So click there. Let's now change the size down to 42. There we go. And type in the rest of happy, which is A-P-P-Y. So appy, like that. You can now just squish that over a bit. Okay, same thing. On the move tool, come down to the type tool. Come down a bit away from your happy, just down here someplace. Make sure you're seeing that box around the insertion tool. You're not seeing it like that, but you're seeing the box around it. Click, and then we can actually go ahead and type in the M for mothers here. I'll select that and then change the size to 126 and choose OK. Let's pull that down a little bit. We're just getting the pieces on right now. Okay, back to the type tool. Come down here and click again. I'm going to type in just the O on this and then Double check that other apostrophe S. Triple click to select that and then change this down to the 42. There we go. Again, choose OK and put that up here someplace. Come back down to the type tool. Come down here someplace where you're not overlapping anything. Make sure you see that box around the insertion point. Click right there. Type in the D for day. And select that and change this to the larger size. Choose OK. Move that down a little bit. Back to the type tool. Come outside here someplace and click. Type in your AY. Double click on that and then change that size down to 42. Okay, those are the pieces for the lettering. Let's now get the position right on this. So the happy is pretty good. Just up near the corner but not touching the corners. You can see that, a bit of space around that. And then we'll grab the APY and I'll move this so that the A is just a little bit above that little bit right there on the H. Because it's just a little bit above there. Okay, now click on the M, grab that, and we want this overlapping. So pull this up until you get some overlapping happening in here. What I want on this one is it overlapping right up in here. I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see this better. There we go. Want a little bit of an overlap happening here and overlaps here, and I don't want it touching in there. Now you can use the mouse just to kind of drag it around a bit until it gets kind of a nice little spot. You want enough of an overlap so you can see the overlap right there. You want that space showing, and so it's not touching up here and it's not bumping into your Y up there. So just like that. Okay, let's come down, click on the others. Same thing like we did up here with the A and that line. Just drag this up so that the O is just a little bit above that line right there. Okay, we'll scroll down a bit more. Click on the D, and same thing will be overlapping the D, this time over here on the right-hand side. And what you want is a little shape in here, a little overlap here, but not touching that part of the M. So you're only overlapping this little tail that's coming off right in there. Back down to the day, and this time just pull this up here somewhere, just up kind of in the middle like that someplace. Just right in there. Alright, let's now zoom out. I'll do fit on screen, see how that looks. That looks pretty good. At this point you can grab all of these layers, click on your, actually scroll up a little bit, click on the AY, hold the shift key down, click on the H, and you can then position this a little bit better. Pull it over a bit like that so there's about the same amount of space above and below and left and right hand side. Just kind of center it in this area here to the left of the flowers. Okay, there's the basic lettering. Let's now do the fancy stuff on the lettering. That's a couple of steps on this one. First, come in and hold the shift key down and select all of your letter layers. If you missed one, hold the control key down, click on that one. So all your letter layers are selected. Now take this and drag it up here to the new layer button. It gives you a copy of all of those layers. Now on the copy set, that's the top set, just hide all of those. Now come down to the original H layer and I'll zoom in a little bit on this. There we go. So on the H layer, there it is. Go up to layer and layer style and style settings. And we'll be doing a stroke right here. Click on stroke. You can see there's the stroke. If I bring the size up, so there's, now it's coming in inside, so double check that. If it's coming in inside, change this to outside. Okay, now on the outside, let's change this up to 25px, and then I want to have it that color. So click on the black square and just come down to the color picker down bottom left hand corner, click on that, and that changes that to that color. There we go, that looks correct. Choose OK. We'll now be copying that to all of these other layers up here, the bottom set of our letters. So right click right down here where the H is, and choose Copy Layer Style. Go up to your next lettering. This is the Appy. Right-click, Paste Layer Style. Up to the M, right-click, Paste Layer Style. Up to Others, right-click, Paste Layer Style. Up to the D, right-click, Paste Layer Style. Up to the AY, right-click, and Paste Layer Style. Don't touch the ones that are hidden and say Copy on them. Okay, so far so good. Now we need to simplify these layers. So let's right-click and simplify. And you can do this twice if you want to. Right-click and simplify. This is basically just a graphic. So let's do that here. Each one of these, simplify once and then simplify a second time. Just come on down and do that for all of these letter layers that have the effects on them. And we'll do our last two in here. Right-click, simplify, and the bottom one here, the H. Simplify and do it one more time. Simplify. The second one collapses the effect down to that layer as well. Now click on the AY at the top, hold the Shift key down, click on the H, right-click, and then we're going to merge these layers together right there. Merge layers. They're now just one layer. It says AY, but it's actually the whole thing. I'm going to back out just a touch here. There we go. So there it is. Now, hold the Control key down, click on the icon, and that selects that whole thing. There it is, all selected. Let's now put a gradient in here. Go back to our gradients, click on the gradient icon, and the one you want now is this one up here. It's the yellow, pink, purple. Click on that. Here's our yellow, pink, purple. Choose OK, and then go from the top left to the bottom right, just like that. And it gives you that nice gradient in behind there. Okay, let's go ahead and deselect. So there's our background gradient. Let's now blur this out a little bit in here. Go up to Filter and Blur and Gaussian Blur. And I have it set at 10.0. Just kind of softens the edge up on that 10.0 and choose OK. Okay, so far so good. Now that's the background for the lettering is done. We can now show our original letters in here. There we go. We need to have these white. So let's go back to each one of these and change each one of these to white. So grab the Type tool, double click on the layer, choose Color, scroll to the top and click on white and choose OK. Let's go to the next one here. That's for the Appy Copy. Back to the Type tool, double click, change your color to white, choose OK, and just move through all of these. Same process on each one. Double click white, choose OK. There we go. The green check mark. Back to Others. These all say Copy, of course. Back to the Type tool, double click, change the color to white, green check mark. Back up to our D and Type tool, double click, change your color to white, choose OK, and the AY, last one, click on the Type tool, double click on your lettering, change the color to white, choose OK. So far so good. Last step, and we're all done. Come down to the H right here, go up to the layer menu, come down to Style, Layer Style, Style Settings, click on Drop Shadow, and just leave that at the defaults. They should be 7, 3, and 35, and black with 90 degrees angle. That should be the default settings. If they're not, just go ahead and put those at 7, 3, 35. Choose OK. Then we'll just copy that to these layers. So again, over here by the H, right-click, Copy Layer Style, move up one, right-click, Paste Layer Style, up one, right-click, Paste Layer Style, and just continue on up, pasting in that layer style until we finish that out. Paste Layer Style, and there we go. There it is. I'll just drag it out here to float. I'll open this window up. Let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. Come down to the background layer, click on the background layer so nothing is selected, and let's give this one last final look, see if you want to do any tweaks or adjustments. Now I think the flowers are a little bit too small. I like them a little bit larger, about this high maybe. So let's click on the flower layer, and then I'll click on the upper left hand corner. I'll just drag that up until the flowers are about the right size. I think up around here someplace looks pretty good. Now we're sitting a little bit off the right hand side here where the layer mask hasn't been finished, but that's fine. We don't need that because I'll move the flowers now over here to the right hand side and put them back about where they were. So about right in there is pretty good. Let's make sure we're at the bottom. There we go, looks good. So right about there, and let's click on the background layer again, and I'll check the green check mark, then background layer. Take one final look at this and see if everything looks nice. Again, this is the chance now to make any final tweaks or adjustments. I think that looks good. So there we go. There is the Elegant Style Happy Mother's Day card. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you found it useful. If you like this video, click on the like button below to let others know. You can click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. I'm frequently uploading new training videos. Don't forget to check out my website at howtogurus.com.